All right, Cafe Connoisseurs, we got a special episode today. We're talking about fitness at any age.
Hey, I am Rashad Ali.
What's up, family? It's your brother, Lamont Rucker.
And you're watching the amazing Health Mastery Café with Dr. Day.
I'm joined here at the cafe counter by Wayne Stewart, who's a certified fitness coach, and Mr. Al Ringer, who is a sales executive and an entrepreneur. Gents, thank you for being here in the cafe.
Thank you for having us.
Listen, man, we got to dive into this.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
We were just saying off camera how somehow y'all look at least 10 years younger than your stated age, both of you.
You like that? That's
right?
Good. Yes, sir.
And we're trying to make sure you didn't make a deal with the devil that looks so good. But in all seriousness, right? I think what I really wanted to delve into was techniques. Like, give me some real tools, because at 30, Wayne, at 60, Al, right?
61. All right.
No way.
Hey.
Right?
No
Nobody
way.
believes that.
Hey,
That's why I'm sitting here. It's like, was it 60? No, it's
That's
60.
amazing.
61. He got you. You can show it.
Don't let
We
me.
may have to have you show it.
I can do that.
Put this down in the
I can do that. I can do that.
What are the tools that you use now to stay on track? But before we dive into that, I want people to get to know you. Al, we're going to start with you. What do you do? Tell us who you are.
Well, I'm a sales executive, as you may mention. Been working in sales for 31 years, over 31 years, and an entrepreneur with my wife. Have a company called Zeal, Aging Redefined.
That's right.
And yes, a podcast. And it talks about, like, from a men's perspective, working out, it's from a women's perspective, aging out loud and aging bold and gracefully.
And doing it gracefully.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, by the way, we are going to link down to her podcast in the description on YouTube. Make sure you go to see that.
Absolutely.
You are showing us that although there can be ups and downs, which we'll get into,
Yes.
that your body doesn't hold a grudge. And if you will just go back and get it done, you can look like Al Ringer. Okay?
Absolutely.
You heard it here first.
That's honest.
Absolutely.
Coach,
Yes, sir.
what do you tell me how you got into fitness? Was this something you always did, or was this
Kind of a combination.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for having me once again, Doc. I do
Yeah.
appreciate it. So it started back in high school, just played different sports, but I always got injured. I had flat feet, had bad feet. So just trying to figure out what was the cause of that. So then that what got me kind of into fitness and more so understanding the body from a whole perspective. Then I actually transformed my feet to the point now where I'm confident to kind of, wear my toes out and be about and have strength in my ankles and everything from head to toe. So that's kind of how I got into fitness. I also hired a personal trainer, which I believe everybody should do, to kind of help you see exactly what you're doing wrong, what you need to do right, and to get you to that next point. And then that's when I got into fitness. I've been into fitness about 8 years now.
8 years? Okay.
Training a broad variety of clients, ranging from youth athletes all the way to the average individual. So that's what got me into fitness.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So when you say everybody should hire a trainer,
Everybody.
I would, in years past, I would say, no, I'm good. Like, I'm a physiologist, right? I was a physiologist. I tell people I was a physiologist before I became a cardiologist.
Gotcha.
So I think I can go in the gym and I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
No, you don't.
No.
You not know what you're doing.
At all.
You think you're just like Charles Barkley thinks he knows how to swing that golf club. Y'all ever seen Charles
Oh,
Barkley?
yeah, it's bad.
Charles Barkley.
Terrible.
When you and the interesting part is that when you see yourself doing, you're like, oh, that's all wrong.
Yeah, terrible.
The trainer is helping you with that. So in one word, that's form.
Yes.
Making sure your form is really good, because if you don't protect the form now, the function's gonna follow. Form follow function. Function follow form. You will lose your function if you don't have the right form. Tell me about your focus on form for your clients.
The top of the list. I tell them all the time, keep that form the priority. Even when we're going through a long series of workouts, even when you start experiencing fatigue, I say, hey, even when you're going through fatigue, you want that form to be at the top of the list. Don't break down the form. Don't compromise, pity form over trying to get those reps done.
Yeah, just trying to get to 12 or 15, and you're swinging your whole body.
Exactly.
And hurting stuff.
You're hurting everything.
Yeah.
So maybe take a second or two, take a break, take a pause, reset and regroup, and then continue your sets at good form.
Yeah. And I had to learn that the hard way, working with a trainer who insists that you slow it down. If you can't get to 12 or 15, whatever that number is, he'd rather a really good form.
Oh, yeah.
Right? we make fun. This is only make fun. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. We can cut it out if we have to.
Okay.
He said, "I don't want to do that LA Fitness, man. You know, LA Fitness was when I used to work out on my own,
Got it.
rocking and stuff, moving stuff that shouldn't move in an isolated exercise
At all.
But the form is so critical. I do want gents and women and men to be thinking about how critical form is in every exercise you do to focus on the form. Al, tell me about the time when form was not at the top of your list and if you paid for that or not.
Well, I'll tell you, starting out, and it's funny, Wayne, you struck a nerve here because I also have flat feet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Played football, basketball, baseball all through high school.
Yeah.
Broke my left ankle twice, my junior, senior year.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, wow, what do I do? Missed out on scholarships because I was hurt, but went to college, but started working out when I was 15, and it was mandatory in football. Coach, like, if you're gonna play on my team, you will work out in the summer and in the spring.
Yeah.
I kind of got out of spring because I was playing baseball, but in the summer, it was on. And I started at 15 and didn't like it, but then started to get into it and started understanding the strength and the advantage that it gave me on the field, on the court, and the confidence that it also that came with it. So I started at 15 and 46 years later, still doing it.
And here we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there ever a period, because, you know, it's hard. I mean, we're human.
Yeah.
Everybody's human, right? And every human has a body, and that body goes through peaks and valleys.
Yes.
Was there a period when you backed off and you said, no, I'm good. Like maybe you didn't say that I'm good, but you just stopped being physically active to the point of working out on a deliberate basis? That's for you. Yeah, because then I'm going to bring it back to Wayne.
I would tell you that happened in 2019, just life.
Pandemic.
It was right before, in which pandemic didn't help me. Just worked crazy schedule, traveling, and just kind of got off my regimen. And then got back, then pandemic hit, which really didn't help.
Yeah.
And it really went downhill. Got on the scale and I looked, I'm like, 198, man, I ain't never been close to 200.
Right.
I said, you know what? Turn the basement into a gym, start working out. I said, until the pandemic ease up and we can go back to the gym, I got to do something.
You got to do something now.
Did that.
It's getting out of hand.
Oh, it's getting out. Bro.
Yeah.
It was 6-pack, 4-pack, 2-pack, a cooler.
Yeah.
I was carrying a cooler around. I'm like, nah, this is not me. I can't do this.
Yeah.
When the pandemic lift up, they got to see me the way they saw me pre-pandemic. So that was the time that was the biggest time I got off my regiment.
I think, Coach, that men have this worse than women, which is we hearken back to a time when we were super athletic, super fit, and we still have that ideal of us and idea of us back then in our minds. And so we might be thinking to ourselves, I'm good for, I'm good. Like I'm physically, look at me, like I feel fine. I'm good. Tell me about how you coach guys through that, because I hear it all the time. You must get it. And how do you break through that?
Well, I see it all the time. So that's a great question. Yeah. And you got athletes or former athletes or everyday.
Still an athlete in their head.
Still athletes in their mind. Coming in the gym where they're 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s, still thinking they got it, which you still have it, but it's a different version of it.
It's a different it.
So you got to switch it up. You got to slow it down. That's why I try to tell people to prevent ego lifting. You don't want to come in and try to load up the bar. You don't want to come in and try to do what you think you can do. You want to come in and do what's appropriate for your body. And every day can look different. You don't want to come in and maybe one day lift super heavy. The next day, you might not have that same energy to do the same thing or produce the same output.
Yeah.
So switch it up. Maybe take a recovery day or slow whatever that you're doing down.
Yeah.
But I tell people all the time, but more specifically men, because I do see it, that still have that drive. Like you can do similar things, but you just have to modify it in a way that's appropriate for the stage that you're at now.
It's unnatural to think that you can go back to that level of output having been away from it for 3-4 years. And that's the dangerous part, that we still think, and I'm speaking from experience, we still think we can go in there. And I did this. This was actually back in college. So I stopped working out for a year. And before college, I mean, I was rail thin. You see this thing right here? No, like, so all I ever wanted to do was just have some muscle, man. Just give me some. God, please. I used to pray, literally. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I got to Morehouse, here's what they gave us: carbohydrates and a 24-hour gym.
Okay.
So I'm just in there. Okay. Yeah. But there was one year where I stopped working out. Came back. I'm like, oh, I can do it. That was young, man.
Yeah.
I go in there, bang, I'm cranking it. Yeah. And my pectoral muscles swole up so much that evening. I looked in the mirror, I'm like, this is amazing. You mean all I gotta do is, and when I touch it, it was soft. You know what it was? I had started breaking down the muscle, my side, as they started to swell.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it at the time because I hadn't gone through medical school yet, started to urinate some of the muscle protein. Now, that is potentially a medical emergency. We have a name for that called rhabdomyolysis. You don't play around with it. If your urine turns brown, go see a physician. Right. But that's what it was. It was darker because I was breaking down the muscle protein. It took a week for that to all go down because I tried to go back in the gym like I did the year before and crank out, 2 plates.
Oh, wow. Oof.
Okay, so let that be a lesson to you. Start low, go slow. What's the merit in going fast? There's no merit in going fast. Al, tell me about a time where you injured yourself because of that kind of, let me get back in there like I used to.
I will tell you that was probably when I came back from school, moved back from Chattanooga to Atlanta, and me and a couple of my best friends over 50 years, Ralph Simpson and Tony Owens, we went to this place called Living Well.
Yeah, Living Well.
Living Well Fitness Center is up off of North Druid Hill.
Yeah.
Now we went for a different reason.
Oh, I can imagine.
It was plenty of scenery, right?
Yeah.
And
candy was there.
yes, plenty. But then afterwards, we realized, we can get that anywhere. It's about changing our lifestyle and really going after it. And at that point, we left there and went to Lee Haney Animal Kingdom.
That's a big leap right there.
Yeah.
That's a big jump.
And so we went in, and it's bodybuilders, it's everybody, you serious. And it ain't nothing pretty, no thrills, straight on.
Yeah.
And so we went in.
Bars and iron, that's it.
You looking at guys to your left throwing up 3 and 4 plates, you're like, I got it. Left out of there, very similar to you, was sore, had full muscles, and I was like, nah.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. Let's stay within our lane, but we're gonna hit it. We're gonna hit it at our level.
Yeah.
So that was the time that we had to wrench it back.
Yeah.
And stay at our level. But I would tell you now, we were hitting it. But we weren't hitting it at the bodybuilder. We weren't trying to win Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
But we were working out.
There's a lot of myth around how to achieve a body of your goals, dreams, whatever you want to. I didn't want it to sound too fantastical, but it is. It's one of our dreams to have a certain look.
Yeah.
Everybody has a body goal.
Right.
Even the people whom we look up to have body goals, males and females. They want their body to look a certain way.
Yes.
Every single person. Talked about on a previous episode where it's okay to want to improve and to want to enhance. That's just the human condition. That's how we're wired. The issue becomes when you start to use shortcuts. And there's a lot of people out there trying to sell you stuff.
Yes.
Coach, can I drink a protein shake and get 2 pounds of muscle?
Unless this has been an AI modified protein shake.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Not that I know of. Not that I'm aware of.
Some kind of gadgetry.
Some kind of, something else.
They're not selling that at Kroger.
They're not selling that at
right
Kroger. In order to gain those 2 pounds of muscle, it literally takes hard work.
Yeah.
And then you have to understand your body type. Everybody's body type is different. You have to understand your metabolism. Do you have a fast metabolism, a slow metabolism? Is it somewhere in between? And you have to be either in that caloric deficit or caloric surplus, depending on if you're trying to gain or lose muscle.
Right.
All right. But once you find that consistency and that pattern, and progressively overload on each of your exercises, then you definitely will gain those 2 pounds of muscles. Now you can also, incorporate that protein shake, but that protein shake alone isn't going to give you those magical 2 pounds that you're looking for.
That's right. So you have to push the envelope in the gym on certain strength exercises, particularly the larger muscle groups.
Definitely.
It's just a bigger catchment. You're going to, if I get my little subscapularis, it may not, it may not grow that much.
Exactly.
But if I fire the quads and the hams,
exactly.
I'm probably going to get a little bit of poundage. The idea that you can drink something and take you to the next level would work if people believe it in their minds. We call it the placebo effect.
Indeed.
Yep. So the only time that I dissuade my patients from drinking a protein shake is if they have an express contraindication. For example, the amino acid shakes cause a lot of diarrhea. Yeah. So somebody who has diarrhea to begin with, you don't want to start taking amino acids. And sometimes the protein shakes do that too, commercial break, because it doesn't get absorbed. It's actually acting just like a colonoscopy prep. It's just pulling water out and flushing it out. Mm-hmm. With that being said, I tell them don't drink your calories, period.
Okay.
As a rule. Now, there are some calories in some things that you might, infrequently drink, wine, let's say. Yeah. But don't drink a smoothie or all of this stuff trying to improve and enhance your health. I would prefer that you get it in whole foods. What's your thought about drinking fruit smoothies and shakes and stuff like that?
I agree 1,000% with your approach. Whole foods is always kind of the first go-to that I think about. Especially if you're trying to, live a long life and, look as good as Al at 60. You want to make sure that your diet is on point. Whole foods first. I don't mind a protein shake here or there, but don't get excessive with it, okay? If you're eating whole foods, first you got your proteins and your produce. Start out with those things. And then everything else is kind of background noise to kind of fill in your calories. But definitely whole foods is the way to go.
So you're a lean meat kind of guy plus veggies.
Veggies and fruits. I like good combinations of veggies and fruits in there as well. And then that kind of last portion of your plate can be, like you said, maybe a glass of wine to kind of fill in the back end, but not too much of that.
Yeah, no, too much. Too much even of kale is a bad thing.
Yeah,
So, but certainly. Wine isn't usually a part of my recommendation, especially when it comes to drinking calories, but you have to keep in mind that there is a fair amount of calories in alcohol. I put up a video on my Instagram about that. With that being said, if you are not minding your P's and Q's on the dietary stand front, you cannot go to the gym and expect to be liberated from weight.
Not at all.
That's a misconception.
Not at all.
We think we could just work out and go eat whatever we want to eat. That's a male construct. We got that in our brain. We could eat all of this crazy stuff. Tell me how you combat that, and then I'm going to get Al's thought on another question.
Well, I tell the fellas, especially the fellas, I tell them to kind of monitor your schedule. Come up with a consistent schedule to make sure that you're eating throughout the day, whether it be 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day, something that's going to make sure that you're eating a nutritious, well-balanced diet. Where you get your protein, prioritize your protein and your produce, and then everything else is kind of, filling in for your caloric intake. But definitely those are the main things that I would recommend for fellas to kind of stay consistent, stay away from fast foods, processed foods. That is not the way to go. It's heavy in fats and sugars that you just obviously don't need if you're trying to lose weight or gain weight in the correct way. But definitely prioritize your consistency over your nutrition.
Al, I think it escapes people when they hear stay away from fast foods and processed foods because we hear it so much.
Right.
It's almost cliche. And I was always taught when there's a cliche, stop and pay attention to it because humans have been around for a long time and somebody has learned that lesson and you think you're learning for the first time.
Absolutely.
Processed foods have been called carcinogenic, class 1 carcinogens by the World Health Organization. Mm-hmm. Yet we eat a lot of, particularly, I should say, processed meats. Let me say that again. So processed meats are class 1 carcinogens. Bacon, ham, deli meats of different sorts. We don't think about that. Right. And when it comes to diet, tell us how you've been able to maintain because it's so easy. Listen, I'm 51, okay? If I let that thing get off the rails, to this morning I weigh 183 pounds. If I let that thing get off the rail in 1 month, I'll be 200 pounds, man. I'm telling you.
Easily.
It's not like I'm like blessed with some genes. I am blessed, right? And I have some great genes. But that's not one of them. You could just stay skinny and eat all what you want. Tell me how you fight that.
Well, I tell you, I really had to be real mindful, folks. Back in 2000, and as I mentioned, we both have flat feet, 2 broken ankles. I was a sprinter. I was fast.
Yeah.
Never
With broken ankle. Flat.
Well, pre-broken ankle, I was really fast. But never ran distance. So my friend Ralph Simpson, I mentioned, he was a runner. I'm like, he's like, after we used to work out, then he'll go run. I'm like, dude, I'll catch up with you. He said, man, just come out with me. Got out there, ran with him, and got addicted to it. But when I was running, man, I could cheat.
Yes.
Because I knew I was burnt.
Yes.
I was burnt.
Yes.
Man, I was in the best shape. But after 6 years of running, started feeling some aching in the knees, went to my doctor, Dr. John Johnson. He said, I'll tell you, I know you like running, but if you don't stop, we're going to be talking about a knee replacement.
You have new knees, yeah.
He said, you got to go low impact elliptical machine. I said, I'm sorry, but you got a choice. I'm telling you what I recommend. You have a choice. So I had to stop running. And at that point, I'm like, I got to watch what I eat, and started getting into salads and things of that nature. I would eat at 9 o'clock, didn't matter when I was running. But after that, I'm like, no, can't eat after 9.
Yeah.
And salads and more healthier food.
Yeah.
So,
You all look amazing. You just said if you go off for a while, you'll be off the scales. You getting back on the wagon in terms of working out. But why does it seem like it's so much easier for men?
I mean, it's
But we have to work so much harder.
it's a
and I
blessing.
know you guys tell me you work hard, but it just like I look at you and I'm like, oh please.
well,
Right?
I would tell you, and I heard it on one of your other episodes. For guys, it goes right here.
It goes to the gut.
Yeah.
Right here, the first place you see it. Like I said, you go from a 6-pack to a 4-pack to a 2-pack. Now you got a cooler.
Yes.
So I'm telling you,
Or some other kitchen appliance.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
So you might think it's harder for women. Women have to work as hard, but we have to work extra hard to keep
But
up.
I do think that there is something to say about the real hormonal shift. I don't think we pay enough attention to after 35, so you're good.
Okay, I got to.
After 35, there is a pretty consistent decrement in testosterone that you make from your organ.
Absolutely.
And when that occurs, I don't care what anybody says. I know I'm breaking the secret code of dudes.
And it will.
It's a menopause. You start going through it right there, okay? And no, it is. It is. You in menopause.
Yeah.
It starts happening. Moods start changing. You don't want to do stuff. You're like, oh, this. And the inside of your body starts changing. Whereas when before you could eat that.
Yep.
And not only not see it on your person, but if you went to the doctor and they took your blood, you wouldn't see it there either.
Right.
After menopause, it's not like that anymore. A bunch of stuff changes. There is an unfair difference between menopause and menopause.
Yeah.
When estrogen starts to wane, whether that's a natural waning and it's menopause or surgical menopause, the bottom seems like it falls out. Metabolism goes where there's no metabolism here. Your cholesterol goes up, your blood pressure changes. All of these things happen. And if you don't think about, hey, I'm at this phase of life, you will think that you're falling apart when it is a natural transition. At that time, the lack of estrogen and the change in your testosterone, by the way, is not just estrogen. There's a happy medium between all of them. It becomes incredibly difficult for you to lose weight. Yeah. Now, can it happen? Sure. But men and women have to do something drastically different than we've done before in order to get there. And I always say this. If Michael Jordan right now, Michael Jordan's 62. How old is Michael Jordan? Something like that.
Something like that.
Okay.
62.
Yeah, right?
62.
Okay. Michael Jordan right now could play in the NBA. Now, let me just say this. That first step, Michael Jordan, he don't have that anymore.
Nope.
The game is just about the same. They have a couple little differences. The game of basketball is the same. The way he has to play the game is different. The game of weight loss, weight maintenance is exactly the same. And I know people don't want to hear it. At the end of the day, we're in a physical principle where the calorie balance matters. What you take in and what you get rid of. Calories in, calories out.
Yes.
We're not saying it's simple. I'm just saying that's what it is,
Yes.
down to the bottom of it. The way we get those calories out is very different. The way we balance our calorie ledger is going to be very different.
Very true.
So are we going to play the game, or are we just going to sit on the pine and let it just fall apart? No, you can't let it fall apart. We have to go play that game different. And Michael Jordan will fire down like set shots on you all night long and win the game. Okay? So that's a long answer to we have to do different.
That you have to work just as hard as we do, or we have to work just as hard as you do.
No, I think you have to work hard.
Yeah, we both have to put in the work.
I think you have to work hard. It's only fair that you guys have to work harder than that. No,
I know.
Yeah.
Everybody's different though, so that's a
Yeah.
really important thing. Even men amongst men are different. Not everybody can eat the same diet.
Correct.
Cookie cutter recommendations scare me a lot because you might have somebody with blood sugar problems who should not take a fruit smoothie. And if you are trying to sell fruit smoothies to everybody and somebody thinks that that's great, they'll take it. And not only will your sugar shoot straight up with a fruit smoothie,
Right.
the amount of calories that you get is somewhere in the ballpark of 300, depends on how big it is. Let's just do a round number. 250 calories. Think about this. What if you take a fruit smoothie 4 days a week? That's 1,000 calories a week. Multiply that by 4, you got 4,000 calories a month. Tell me how long it takes you and what you have to do in the gym to get rid of 1,000 calories a week.
You got to be in there every day, twice a day, for weeks.
You see what I'm saying?
It's a lot.
That's why I'm saying don't drink your calories unless you're trying to do what you said. You're bodybuilding and you are working with a coach, a trainer, and then pushing it. Where do you fall? Because you actually look like Adonis over here, like the picture of health. Everybody's human though, so you got to have something. Where is it? Chips? What is it? Man?
It's funny. My massage therapist used to call me my sister Lee Haney's kid.
Right. Exactly.
Every time she just used to be digging into us, she's like, okay. But right now I'm in more so of a maintenance kind of phase with my workouts.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to build. I'm not trying to lose. Just trying to get to this point where I'm just consistently eating most of the same things, doing similar workouts. I do a lot of mobility training now to kind of make sure my joints and my body is just maintained throughout the day. Really don't have any aches and pains. So that's why I don't really lift extremely heavy. It was a period of time in my life where I was just trying to get those gains. I was trying to be the strongest guy in the gym, but I know the camera.
You're there already, so you're good.
Trying to, I know the camera may make me look taller than what I am, but I'm not that big of a guy. All that weight on me doesn't really necessarily, look the best.
Right.
But I think now I'm at a good maintained position, and it works.
Yeah, no, I'll say. So Al, tell us. We talked about some of the downsides, you and I, as we move through the life course. Just because it happens to most doesn't mean it has to happen to all.
Right.
What's your recommendation to the 50-year-olds for the next decade?
Your health is your initial wealth, right? If you don't have your health, the other wealth that you're chasing is going to be hard to obtain.
Yeah.
And I would say get on a regimen, and whatever that is, get a trainer, someone that, it depends on what you want to do. I know that's one of the questions you're probably asking, what's your goal, right? But, we understand your body, understand what the goal is, but then do it, get knowledge of what you're trying to do. Bad form later in life creates hip problems, knee problems, the whole 9 yards, or shoulder problems, nerves and things of that nature. So those are, for some people, the cause of it is bad form, lifting weights and doing things the wrong way early on that creates problems on the back end.
Yeah.
So I would say at 50, know your body, understand what it is you're trying to do. At 50, I was trying to just maintain, right? And what do I need to do to maintain? And what would be a proper workout to maintain and eat right? Because again, a lot of people say, the cliche, you are what you eat, right?
Oh, yeah. No, that's for sure. All the way down to the cells.
Yes.
Coach, tell us, as you are preparing people for their 40s,
Yes.
what's that thing you're telling men to do differently when you talk to men?
Be open to change. Sometimes if you're doing something for 30 or 40 years, you might think that it's working. You may have to be introduced to something that's a little different and be open to that change into how you can improve from that. And also being open to slowing things down. We also have to kind of focus in a lot of men that I train. I get into, okay, what does stress look like? What does the outside of the gym look like, to make sure that inside the gym we're actually focused on what the goal is at hand, and setting expectations. So as a coach, I have expectations for my clients, but I also want to be transparent to have expectations for the coach. If you need somebody to hold you accountable to a certain degree, then that's what I'm going to be. You know, so being open to change, being open to kind of adhere to a different program, and then believing in the changes that can happen.
Yeah. And I would add to that, start stretching in the 40s.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And, it falls in a different category for most men, right? So we're not thinking that stretching and yoga and all these really great things that help you with longevity are something we want to do, right? It's just, now, I don't want to do that. And I was one of them. And I have been saying for a really long time that I want to get into yoga, but I already know when I do, because you are like the man. I saw you like this, with everything was spread like this. I was like, what is he doing? And you were just hanging out. It's like Bruce Lee, man. But the truth is, you can train your body to do new things. Definitely. And when you train your body to do new things, your brain comes along with it. Yeah. So you're actually getting central nervous system, benefits from doing new things. True. Currently, I've put yoga off again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I'm now with a swim coach. Okay. My ultimate goal before 55 is to do a triathlon. I'm gonna start with a sprint.
Okay.
And then, and my biggest weakness was form and efficiency in the pool. So I'm doing that now, and I'm telling you, when you start to conquer different, new physical tasks, you feel like you can do anything.
Indeed.
Like I'm at my business, like, oh yeah, no, I don't care what they say. I'm gonna do, it really does translate, doesn't it? It translates into new things. So this idea of being open to new things rings true. And I would challenge men to just give it a try. Do it for a quarter. Do it for 3 months and see how it goes.
That's real.
The parting message is don't give up, because you can't be all that you can be if you're not in the gym, if you're not doing some kind of workout.
Steve, Wayne said it earlier, and if you're not, you got to know yourself. If you're not disciplined, then you got to find somebody to hold you accountable, because accountability is huge. And back when I was working out with my best friends, that was one thing we held. If you missed a day, you paid for it.
Yeah. Especially if
we held you accountable. You paid for it. Even if you came from a different direction that we know you should have been coming from this direction. Where you been?
Yeah.
It was to that level.
Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna do before I'm gonna end with your last message to all men.
Gotcha.
Coach. I'm gonna invite you guys back, and next year, and we're going to have a conversation just like this. This was really great, right? In terms of the dialogue, and people are going to learn a lot. Yeah. I want them to be able to get in touch with you, obviously, Coach, because I think they should come to the trainer as well.
Okay. Yes.
But let's come back. Let's see where we have challenged ourselves to be. We don't stop challenging ourselves because we grow old. We grow old because we stop challenging ourselves.
Absolutely.
So let's make that happen. Take us out of here with the recommendation for all men.
For all men, start now. Don't wait till tomorrow. Get in the gym, get with a coach. Like I mentioned, maybe get with a group. Just get somebody to hold you accountable. Make sure that you start moving, make sure you start eating right, and start stretching. Like Doc said, make sure you get a lot of mobility in to just take care of yourself and take care of your life.
Well spoken, couldn't have said it better myself. You guys know what I always say. There is nothing more important than your health. Now go master it.